Differentiate between the following: red algae, brown algae, liverworts and mosses, homosporophyll, heterosporophyll, syngamy and triple fusion. Let us find the difference between the following. So first one is red algae and brown algae. So now algae, there are three different types of algae, that is red, green and brown. So now let's learn the difference between red and brown algae. Now this red algae is grouped under the class Rhodophyceae and brown algae are grouped under the class Phaeophyceae. Now this classification is done based on the pigments which is present. Now these algae, Rhodophyceae contains red pigments and Phaeophyceae contains brown pigments. So they are grouped under two different classes. Now the red pigment present in red algae is phycoerythrin. So now this red algae, to appear red color, they have majority of the pigments, red pigment called phycoerythrin. Along with that, it has got photosynthetic pigment chlorophyll A and D. So similarly, the brown algae, it has got a photosynthetic pigment fucoxanthine, which is brown in color. So that is why these plants appear brown in color. And along with that, it has got photosynthetic pigments A and C. So both red and brown algae, they are photosynthetic in nature. And the red algae stores its food in the form of a starch. This is called Floridian starch. So this kind of starch is found in red algae. So they store starch and the starch is called Floridian starch. It is a complex carbohydrate which is made up of repeating units called glucose. Whereas brown algae stores its food in the form of a complex carbohydrate called laminarian and a sugar called mannitol. So both are carbohydrates. So mannitol and laminarian are the stored food present in the brown algae, and Floridian starch is the stored food present in the red algae. Now they also differ in the cell wall composition. Red algae has got cellulose and pectin in its cell wall, whereas brown algae has got cellulose and algine in its cell wall. So for a moment, red algae do not have any flagella. So flagella is absent in case of red algae. In case of brown algae, two flagella are present. So based on the food which is stored, presence of photosynthetic pigment, flagella, algae are grouped into different categories. So red algae, they are grouped under Rhodophyceae, brown algae, Phaeophyceae. The stored food in red algae is Floridian starch. Here it is, the stored food is in the form of sugar mannitol and laminarian. So they have major pigments phycoerythrin. Here they have fucoxanthine. So cellulose and pectin are the composition of the cell wall in case of red algae. In case of brown algae, the cell wall composition is made up of cellulose and algae. So brown algae has got two flagella, whereas in red algae the flagella are absent. So these are the differences between red algae and brown algae. So the next difference is liverwort and moss. Now both liverwort and moss, they belong to division bryophytes. So liverwort and moss, they belong to division bryophytes. So let's find the difference between liverworts and moss. So in liverworts, they have rhizoids which are root-like structure. So these rhizoids helps in anchorage. Okay. So in liverworts, it is made up of single cell. So rhizoids are made of single cell. So it is unicellular in nature. In case of mosses, the rhizoids are multicellular in nature. So here we can see the root-like structure called rhizoids. So these rhizoids are unicellular in case of liverwort and it is multicellular in case of mosses. And in liverworts, the plant body has got scales-like appearance. So these scales are present very often. In mosses, it is absent. So here we can see on the plant body, the scales, we can see a scale-like appearance on the thalloid plant body. But in case of mosses, this is absent. So liverwort are generally thalloid with dichotomously branched. thyloid plant body means they have got a plant body which cannot be differentiated into root, shoot and leaves. Okay. And here dichotomously branched means they are like this. So this structure has got two branches. So this kind of thyloid plant body and two divisions is found in liverworts, but this is absent in case of a moss. So here these plants grow laterally, okay, and they have got many branches. So we cannot see the thyloid plant body over here. And these are the gemma cups. So this part. So these gemma cups are present in the liverworts, whereas they are absent in case of mosses. So this is a moss, here the gemma cups are absent, and this is a liverwort. Here we can see the presence of gemma cups. The sporophyte has got very little photosynthetic tissue. In the liverworts, this is a gametophyte stage. Here the gametophyte stage is dominant and it is greenish in color, whereas the sporophyte has very little photosynthetic tissue, whereas in moss, sporophyte has got abundant photosynthetic tissue. So these are the differences between a liverwort and moss. In liverwort, rhizoids are unicellular in nature. In mosses, rhizoids are made up of many cells. They are multicellular. Here scales are present and scales are absent. And in liverworts, the plant body is thyloid in nature and it is dichotomously branched. Here it is foliage with lateral branching. Gemma cups are present, gemma cups are absent. And in liverworts, the sporophyte plant body has got very little photosynthetic tissue. In mosses, the sporophyte plant body has got abundant photosynthetic tissue. So these are the difference between liverworts and moss, which belongs to the division bryophytes. So the next difference is homosporous and heterosporous. So the word homosporous and the word heterosporous. Homo means similar. Sporus represents for spore. In case of heterospore, the word hetero represents two different and spore means spore. So here in pteridophytes, some of the plants produces same types of spores. They are called homospores, and these plants are bisexual in nature. The gametophytes are bisexual. The spores will be similar, whereas in heterosporous, the plants bears two different kinds of leaves, microsporophyll and megasporophyll. So two different types of spores are produced, microspore and megaspore. The size of the spores are different. One will be smaller in size, the other one will be bigger in size. So these gametophytes are unisexual. They produce only one type of spore. So either the smaller one or the bigger one. So these are the differences between homosporous pteridophytes and heterosporous pteridophytes. In homosporous pteridophytes, all the spores will be similar in size and the gametophyte is bisexual, whereas in heterosporophyll, the gametophyte is unisexual. Either they produce microspore or megaspore. So totally two different kinds of spores will be present. So here we learned the differences between red algae and brown algae, the differences between liverworts and mosses, and types of spores in pteridophytes, whether it is a homosporous or heterosporous. The next difference is syngamy and triple fusion. So both the word syngamy and triple fusion is related to the process of fertilization in angiosperms. So in flowering plants like angiosperms, the pollen tube carries two gametes, two male gametes. So one of the male gamete fuses with the egg, producing a zygote which is diploid in nature. This process is called syngamy, whereas the other male gamete fuses with a diploid secondary nucleus, and this fusion leads to a triploid cell which later develops into an endosperm. So here in this process, two secondary nucleus which is haploid fuses with the one male gamete. So three cells are fusing, and this fusion is called triple fusion. So triple fusion leads to a triploid cell which develops into an endosperm. Whereas in syngamy, two gametes, one male gamete and one female gamete, which are haploid in nature, fuses to give rise to a single cell, which is zygote, and the zygote is diploid in condition. Now the zygote develops into the seed. So here in the picture we can see pollen tube carries two gametes. So one gamete fuses with the egg. So we can see one fusion. So this fusion is called syngamy. It leads to zygote, which is diploid in condition. So the other male gamete fuses with a secondary nucleus which has got two haploid cells. So three cells are fusing together. So this is called triple fusion, and it gives rise to endosperm, which is triploid in nature. So syngamy gives rise to zygote, which is diploid in condition, and triple fusion gives rise to endosperm, which is triploid in condition.